the best episode from each season of Yellowstone. It's been 6 months since Yellowstone ended, but the universe that was so meticulously created by Taylor Sheridan is still high up in the news cycle. With numerous spin-offs, sequels, and prequels waiting to happen, the Yellowstone universe is becoming bigger and bolder, and no one's really complaining. It was created to have characters who deserve a spin-off and, moreover, to be rewatched again and again to notice new things about the viewer's favorite characters and plots. Yellowstone ended after 5 seasons, with the 5th divided into 2 parts and 53 episodes, and each season gave us some of the show's best highs and lows. On average, Season 5 is the lowest, while Season 4 is the highest rated and most watched. Still, every best episode from each season of Yellowstone is a fan favorite and a great progression of the show's thrilling story. 6. The Unraveling, Part 2. The Unraveling, Part 2, is the continuation of Episode 8, and it's an explosive and powerful finale of Yellowstone's first season. This episode defines the Duttons for the audience and shows what they're willing to do for the family and the ranch. It also helps viewers learn more about each of the Duttons' personalities, with John being the ultimate patriarch, politician, and protector, Jamie standing out as a villain, Beth stepping in as a form of chaotic good, and Kayce being the only real embodiment of a cowboy amid all the bureaucratic work that happens on Yellowstone. This episode also shows how important Rip is to the ranch, who is like John's right-hand man, brother, and son all at the same time. Rip quickly becomes a fan favorite and is one of the coolest characters in Yellowstone. The Season 1 finale signals that the family has a lot of issues, especially with Beth and John being the only Duttons to sit down and eat at the family table. Beth is torn because of her family falling apart and the thought that John will be gone one day. She scorns him for having a large dining table, but John tells her that the table doesn't matter. Having a place at it does. This episode has the highest ranking out of all in Season 1 on IMDb. In terms of viewership, it was the second most watched after the season premiere during the show's airing. 5. Resurrection Day. Resurrection Day is one of the most explosive and intense episodes of Yellowstone and shows the lengths John's rivals, the Beck brothers, are willing to go to. The episode also deepens Beth and Rip's relationship, gives Jamie a more human and vulnerable dimension, and shows John as a more sympathetic family man. There are 2 contrasting themes happening: revenge and peace. Jamie tries to commit suicide, which Beth openly encourages, but John stops him at the last minute. Kayce, his wife Monica, and son Tate move to Yellowstone after Monica goes back to Kayce. Tate and John bond over their mutual love of horses. John gives up his own luxuries for the sake of his son and grandson's comfort. The more explosive side of the episode follows Beth, who gets a visit from Malcolm Beck Neil McDonough. Malcolm threatens Beth over some land and sends men to her office to kill her. She puts up a fight and manages to contact Rip before anything happens. An intense, painful, and chilling struggle between Beth and her attackers shows she's not the kind of woman to back down or express fear. When Rip shows up and saves her, they declare their love for each other. This episode makes Beth a strong contender for fan favorite and one of the show's best characters. Her fear, though felt as present, never shows. Resurrection Day is the most watched episode of Season 2, totaling live and streaming. For The World is Purple. The World is Purple is an interesting episode, and it's the highest rated on IMDb among all the Season 3 episodes. It's the season finale, and there's an escalation of the already tense relationship between the Duttons and their enemies, as well as an escalation of Jamie's hostility toward the Duttons. Since Jamie was adopted, he spends most of his time with his biological father, who convinces him to get rid of John in order to sell the ranch. Plenty of other political players get inside John, Beth, and Kayce's heads, with Kayce even considering running for governor. A coordinated attack on all 3 happens at the final moments of the episode, leaving things on a cliffhanger, which was likely a nightmare to anyone who watched all the episodes airing once a week. The episode explores how politics and Yellowstone are inevitably connected and how the ranch is a point of conflict for a lot of parties. This makes John Dutton and his family prime targets for many contenders for the land. The final moments of The World is Purple show that, as well as the lengths many opponents of the Duttons are willing to go to. Beth's office is bombed, John is the target of a gun attack, and Kayce is attacked and shot at in his office. Rip calls Jamie, asking for help, but Jamie cuts ties here, claiming he's no longer interested in helping the family get out of such situations. This also defines Jamie as the next likeliest antagonist in the next couple of seasons. 3. Half the money. And just as Season 3 ends with The World is Purple, Season 4 begins with Half the Money, continuing directly where the Season 3 finale left viewers. John is still alive, but he is shot somewhere on the road. Kayce fights back, and Beth is, luckily, unharmed. The episode is cut by a flashback to 1893 when the Duttons arrived on the ranch. It then cuts to 2 months after the incident, when Beth draws her battle axe on Jamie, believing he was behind the attacks. The family counts their losses and moves on from another attack on their land, with the help of fearless Rip, who handles an angry rattlesnake, and even Thomas Rainwater, the chief of the Broken Rock Tribe Confederation. Beth also meets Carter, Finn Little, in this episode, who later becomes like a son to Beth and Rip. She takes him to Yellowstone after his father dies from a drug overdose, and the show even ends with Beth, Rip, and Carter moving to their own ranch. Not to cut ahead, though, in the Season 4 premiere, we get to see some loose ends tied and other opportunities open. It's a well-written episode that deals with the more fiery side of the Duttons. Their lives are obviously no longer just casual. They're in danger a lot more than they're not, and this is what causes a lot of psychological changes in each. John becomes colder, Kayce grows up, Beth is angrier, and Jamie is a lot more detached. Season 4 strongly signals the final moments of the Duttons being a unit and the increasing decay of their family ties plagued by survival, anger, and greed. 2. A Knife and No Coin. Season 5 was divided into 2 parts, and the first had 8 episodes and the other 6. In the first part of Season 5, Episode 8, A Knife and No Coin, stands out as the best. It's one of the final escalations between Beth and Jamie, as Beth is adamant about getting rid of him. At the same time, it's Jamie's fight to win, as he seems to have collected a lot of counter-evidence for every Beth's move. He knows her well and has anticipated her moves, including her suggestion to kill him and have him dumped in the uncharted territory they call the train station. The episode also foreshadows John's death, since there's a lot of talk of eliminating John. Jamie slanders John publicly and argues that he should be removed from his governor's position, which John takes as both a betrayal and a formal and official declaration of war. Despite John being the biggest villain of the show for numerous reasons, Jamie seemed to have been turned into a hateful, almost caricature-like villain, where he was mostly blinded by ambition and power. That created a full circle between him and John, who seemingly ended up being the same kind of person, without even having to be blood-related. It's the last episode with Kevin Costner as John Dutton III in Yellowstone, and his departure was the biggest trigger for Beth to want to leave the ranch and leave it to Kayce. Kayce, in turn, leaves all the politics behind him and continues life as a rancher and U.S. Marshal. One Life is a Promise. The Season 5 and series finale, Life is a Promise, is now the final, bloody escalation of Beth's hatred for her brother Jamie. She kills him after coming to his house in a fit of anger after John's funeral. Rip, torn by his now wife's anger towards Jamie and the innate instinct to always keep her safe, heads after her, and they eventually dump Jamie's body at the train station. Kayce and Beth, after having agreed to sell the ranch that's brought their family division and suffering, agree on selling it back to the Native American tribes of the Broken Rock Confederacy. Their agreement means that nothing can be built on the ranch, nor can it be exploited. Kayce, Monica, and Tate get a piece of Yellowstone for themselves to lead a rancher's life. Beth and Rip ride off into the sunset with Carter to a ranch Beth purchased in Dillon, Montana. The series finale was quite divisive and felt rushed and too violent for some viewers. The impression was that Jamie was always a victim of his family's bullying and that his retaliation was sometimes justified. Whether Jamie had to die or stay alive isn't really for anyone but Taylor Sheridan to say. Why he chose to write an ending like this is beyond many of us, though we're aware from his other Yellowstone spin-offs that the Duttons rarely have a happy ending. It's not like he and Beth would ever make peace with each other. It seems Jamie really had to die, so Beth could have peace of mind. since Sheridan almost obviously loves Beth as a character. Giving her a spin-off and some joy was a much more interesting ending than the family coming together in the wake of the patriarch's death. Life is a Promise is the most watched episode of the second part of Season 5.